Right, it's that time of the year again, and it's finally time to bring your pride and joy back out on the road. Well, with the weather warming up, you need to go ahead and make sure your car's ready for the summer. So we've got a few essential checks to go through today on this Porsche 996 GT3. So I'm going to start off by talking about car covers. For indoor use, you want a soft, breathable cover. It's best to keep off dust while allowing airflow. And for outdoor storage, use a more durable, waterproof cover, but avoid covering car if high winds are a concern. Too much more movement can damage the paint. Once the cover's removed, just go ahead and take a visual inspection of the vehicle, including paintwork, potential corrosion, and especially window seals, such as here and here, for any sort of cracks or damage. Next up is check your tyres. They've been sitting around for a while in storage, so it's just good to go around them, make sure there's no sort of flat spots or anything at all, otherwise it might be time to change them out. One way to avoid these flat spots is to overinflate the tyres, but when doing this, always make sure to set them to the correct pressure before taking it. Next up, we're going to talk about fluid levels, so we're going to pop the engine cover and the bonnet and go ahead and start off in the front. Well, starting off in the front, we've got two fluids in here. We've got brake fluid, which to start off with. Just check the levels all right, check it's not discoloured or anything like that, and check it's all topped up nice and well. We've also got screen wash in the front here, so if you unscrew that. Now this can go quite stale and quite horrible, so if it has done, just make sure to flush it through and refill it with some new, fresher screen wash. Now moving on to the back, we've got our coolant level up in the corner here. Just make sure it's all topped up, should be about in between the max and the minimum. We've also got power steering. This takes Pentacin, so just quickly take it up. If the cap comes off, you should have a little needle like that. Could be different with your car. And of course, oil level. We have a dipstick on this car, but with it being a dry sump, it won't be accurate until the engine is warm. But we'll talk a bit more about that later. Now, whilst we're under the bonnet, check for any leaks. Look for wet spots and puddles on the garage floor under the car. If you spot any major leaks, it's time for a closer inspection by a professional. But with older cars, especially those with dry sump engines, it's not uncommon to notice small leaks. For this reason, it is good practice to place a drain tray underneath, especially whilst the vehicle is in storage, to see if there is any extensive oil loss. Over time, oil can drain from the tank and into the engine, and seals can dry out during those long months in storage. So, if you are unsure of oil level, it can be best to drain and refill so you know exactly what is inside. So once you're done with your fluids, we can now go ahead and check the battery. So if we remove this little panel here, remove it there. As you can see, this one's fitted with a trickle charger fitting. So this is what I'd recommend if your car's going away for storage. We do have a video on this if you need any help on installing it. But when you've got your battery, best thing to do is to check these points here for any sort of signs of corrosion or any bits like that. If there is any, just clean them up and make sure they're all done and make sure the voltage is correct as well. You can use a multimeter if you do have one to make sure it's up to 12 volts. And also if you've got an older battery maybe, you may get some sort of leaks, but hopefully you should have a battery like this, something a bit more modern, in which you shouldn't have anything like that. Moving on to brakes. As we know, brakes are crucial, so it's essential to check them over once they've been stored for so long. Just check the discs and the pads to make sure they're in good condition, and also go ahead and check for any corrosion, as this can happen over time when the car's stored for so long. Carrying on with the brakes, next thing to do is to check the pedal. Give it a firm press to make sure the brakes feel solid and just how they should, and instead of a spongy pedal. If it's spongy, it's time to take it to a professional. Also, when taking it on a test drive for the first time, you need to go ahead and clean up the discs from the surface corrosion. So you might get a slight vibration, but this should hopefully clean up after a short while. Whilst inside the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and test the lights and the wipers. Again, the wipers can go quite hard and stale during the time that it's been stored, so you may need new ones. But again, with the lights, as they've been stored as well, wiring could have done, or even maybe bulbs. So it's always good to check before taking it out on the road. Now, moving on to your fuel system. When storing your car, it's important to keep the fuel tank full, especially if your vehicle has a metal tank. A full tank reduces the amount of air inside, which helps prevent corrosion caused by moisture buildup. This is particularly important for classic cars with metal tanks. On the other hand, plastic tanks are less prone to corrosion, so this isn't as critical. However, it's still a good idea to top up the tank and prevent condensation from forming inside. If the car's been stored for months, the fuel might have gone stale. It's a good idea to add some fresh fuel to dilute any old, and possibly some fuel stabiliser, such as our Wagner Bactafin that we've already added before the car went into storage. Now, once you've checked over your fuel system, it's now time to start talking about firing up your car. Well, before starting the car up, we need to go ahead and get up oil pressure. So this car luckily does actually have an oil pressure gauge, but importantly to do that, we need to go ahead and flick the key. Now, with some cars, you can go ahead and disconnect coils, and this will allow you to crank the engine over freely without worrying about the car starting up. When flicking the key, the car can still start up, so just make sure to do it carefully and take your time in doing so. So now I'm going to go ahead and flick the key. Now we've got an oil pressure gauge here, so we just need to watch it, and as I flick it, is make sure it's going up. As you can see, it's moving to about 3 bar. So now once your oil pressure gauge is up, as you can see, it's at around 2 bar. We can now go ahead and start the car up. There we go. Well, with that done, make sure to warm your car up before taking it out, as if you turn it off too soon, it's not at temperature, this can cause some damage. But anyway, with that done, we've just gone through a few of the essential checks you need to remember when getting your car out for this nice weather that's coming this summer. So with that all done, we're now going to go ahead and end the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you guys in the next one.